Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Elizabeth, the maker behind Angel's Cottage, and if you're new here, hi, welcome in. I am a knitter and crocheter, and now a spinner. We'll talk about that, but first things first, this is pretty much where I share the things that I'm making. It could be anything really, because I dabble in so many things, but you can find me at Instagram at Angel's Cottage. You can find me on Ravelry as Arcania, and you can find me on Etsy as Angel's Cottage Shop. So first things first, I do have an announcement. I'm planning on hosting a make-along for knit or crochet ornaments, like for a holiday tree. A perfect example is this tiny sweater that I made. And I'll put more details out about this soon. But it's a good way to use up your scraps because it like this is fingering weight scraps that I had, but you could make it in DK or worsted. You just have to change your needle size and possibly the stitch counts depending on the pattern in itself. So I will have more information posted on Instagram and more information posted on the next podcast. But I plan on it running September 1st through November 30th, like the end of November, um, because by then, hopefully, you'll have made some. I know it's really early to be thinking about Christmas, but people do make things for other people during the holidays. And I just want it to be like a laid back make along where you can make as many or as little of these as you want, and it doesn't have to be for a tree. You can easily make this in a solid color and double stitch on like a letter, use it as a gift tag or something. Of course, it's not going to be just sweaters. I do have several other patterns. They're not mine. I should preface that they're not mine, but they will be uh, like I have a couple different pattern bundles on Ravelry that I will link down below so that you can get an idea of like what I'm kind of going for here. But it there's a couple different sweater ones. Some are free patterns and some are not. So it's up to you to decide if it's something that you would participate in. And just one second. I think my husband's printer is gonna finish up. Okay. So I'll have pattern bundles on Ravelry for knit, because this is knit, or crochet, because I have found for tiny sweaters, hats, mittens, tiny socks, uh, ornament balls in particular, really anything that you can attach to a tree or even gifts if gift exchanging is your thing. It doesn't have to be Christmas focused. It's just a nice way to use up your scraps and bring a little touch of like handmade to your home and in a way that is decor. So I'll have all that information on a Instagram post coming soon. This is kind of just my pre-announcement before I officially announce everything, so you kind of have an idea. Um, but yeah, I'll have. It's gonna be a make along. I don't know if I'm going to make a Discord yet. I'm still deciding. But it's going to be make along on Instagram and Ravelry. If you use Ravelry, I'll have a thread of some kind going. And basically, there will be prizes. Um, and we'll talk more about that next time. But look, I could cross this off my list. I made a sweater. I knit a sweater. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. So we'll move into finished objects, and the only one I really have here is the Mesita top. This is a pattern by Stacy Humble, and it is crochet. Hold on, I just saw a hair. Where'd it go? There it is. It's crochet, Um, and it has a nice lace. Well, I wouldn't call it lace, but it's not solid basically. And I used three different colors and I faded it together. And this is the top I wore to flock. So this is going to be the one where we talk about flock because I did go to it and a lot. It was a lot, but we'll get there. And I made this top for flock. So I also posted a vloggy kind of style video about this top. Hopefully you watched it, but if not, I'll link it up here for you to take a look at that because this was a journey. This was a journey. I don't want to do that to myself ever again, but basically I put a time constraint, crazy time constraint on myself for this, and I made this in about 10 days. Literally the night before Flock. So Flock was excuse me. Flock is a fiber festival in Seattle in early August. It was this year. It was also last year, but it was like the 8th, ninth, and 10th, I believe, this year, or maybe it was the ninth, 10th, and the 11th. Can't recall the exact dates, but basically, um, Friday was for classes. So if you sign up for classes, you could attend those classes on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday were the marketplace. And we drove up Friday. I wasn't able to get tickets to classes, so we drove up on Friday. Friday night at like after midnight, I was sewing this bad boy together. So you'll, if you watch the video, you'll see that on there. But this is the top that I wore to flock, and I will insert pictures around here so you can see what it looks like on me. It tended to be, I didn't gauge swatch because I was kind of obviously in a rush. I was trying to make it in like a week and a half, which is insane. But I didn't gauge swatch because I felt like I didn't have time and I thought I would be okay. I might not have been okay. I still haven't measured to see if I hit gauge or if I went over, but not something I recommend doing. Next time, I fully plan on giving myself enough time to make it and not be so stressed. It was stressful, um, but I will gauge swatch next time. So if you can see from the pictures here, it's quite oversized on me. It was supposed to be somewhat cropped, and I clearly just I don't think I miscounted because I kept counting the rows, but I think that just my gauge had to have been off for it to be quite so large on me. And it's quite a boxy top, but it's quite oversized anyway. But it was fun. I had fun putting this fade together. My husband helped me pick it out, and away I went. It was fingering weight, and I think I used a 4 millimeter crochet hook. Uh, but yeah, that's the only finished object I have. I did finish those socks that I talked about last week. I did the toe and it's done. I thought it would be kind of silly to bring it back up here to show you, but so I finished that and that's all I really have. It's been crazy. And we'll talk about that when we get to later segments, but for now, let's move into works in progress. I really only have maybe three to show you. So this is a sock I'm working on for myself, and it is this is a mini from Sorella, so it'll be heel, toe when I get there, and cuff. And then this is Area 51 Fibers Color Self-Striping Sock in Hoarfrost, and um, they're both 80/20 um, superwash merino and nylon. And it's about ready for the toe. I just haven't started it yet. And this is a pair of socks for myself. Vanilla sock, size medium, 64 stitches. And I'm making shorties for myself. I seem to like shorties now. Ever since I made those coffee order socks, that's all I really want to make is shorties for myself. But I've also spent the entire year making socks, short socks, typically for my husband. So my next whip is this pair of socks right here, and this is a vanilla sock size large. Same thing. This is a Sorella um, colorway, and then this is Area 51 fibers. And then again, they're both 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. I don't know. This might be Edith. I'm not sure exactly which color this is. I think I bought it in D Stash, and it was like somebody had put together a mini set or something. It was a mystery mini. It might have been one that I got last year at Flock. I'm not really sure, but this oops, this one is Sea Oats, and then this one is Across the Galaxy. It's based on Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I believe, is a movie, and um, so this is going to be a pair for him. This one's done, and I have the second one going here. So yeah, my next technical whip is spinning, and it is this bobbin. So this is Nanette Wake Studio, 50% Merino, 50% Targi. Um, Mythic is the colorway. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that, but it's like dark purple, lavender, and then kind of like a sky blue and a periwinkle blue, and it's really pretty. Oh, I guess I could have shown this in the finished objects, but hold on. We'll just do this real quick. So when I went to Flock, um, actually before I went to Flock, I had this idea in my head of what I wanted to do in regards of spinning. So I've wanted to spin for about a year, probably a little longer than that, actually considerably longer, but I don't think I wanted to hand spin um, quite like this. And so at Flock, before Flock, I picked up some fiber, and my husband had made me a drop spindle, and I was trying with the drop spindle, but I'm self-taught, so I was struggling, and I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. So at Flock, I picked up more fiber with the intent at a later time to pick up an e-spinner. Well, my husband surprised me and got me an e-spinner after Flock, and I spun this up. This is from Nanette Wake as well, and this is undyed, 50% merino, 50% targi. And I have this is my first spin on my e-spinner, and then this is what's left of my second because, and this was what I said should have probably been in finished objects. I applied them together since they were the same fiber, and I mean, you could spin however you want. If you want to spin some of one type of fiber makeup and another fiber makeup and spin them together, you absolutely can. I'm very new and I want to be able to keep track of what fibers are in what without it being overly complicated. So since they're both 50% merino and targi, I spun them together. And now I know this looks crazy. It's like chock full of inconsistencies, but I don't care. It's my first ply, my first full spin, and I think it looks kind of amazing. It's definitely unique, and I learned a lot just from this bobbin to this bobbin. I learned a lot and had changed things, and then even on this one was the most consistent one that I had spun so far. So when I apply the two together, I could really see where I could improve on. And granted, it looks crazy now, but once I soak it and like skein it up and thwack it and everything, it might even itself out. I'm still very new. This is my first ply. I haven't done anything with it besides stare at it. So I mean, it's going to be a journey that maybe we could go on together. I don't know if you're interested in spinning, um, but that's going to be something that's on here now because I am hooked. I had fun doing it with just the white, but once I started the colors, I was like, this is like potato chips. This is crazy. It looks amazing because depending on how you draft it, you get, in my case, I was getting different shades of purple overlapping each other, and you could see the twist because it was a lavender, but the twisty parts were turning into the darker purple or the periwinkle blue with the dark blue, and it was just really pretty. So I'm hooked. A big reason that I put this off was because I was like, I don't need another thing. I don't need another hobby. I don't need something else that is taking up space in my house. And so far, I have managed to keep it under control, and I hope that it stays that way. Um, but yeah, more spinning. That's definitely going to be on the podcast. But that's basically kind of it for projects right now. Let's go ahead and move into acquisitions, and we will do the regular ones first. So we'll start with clothes. I thought I had my um I'm sorry. I thought I had my Disney club up here, but I don't. So I'll insert a picture or something here. Um, but I can't even remember what it was about. Is a Fantasy Fiber Yarn Company in Daddy Logan and Kukatchu. There's actually a Wolverine movie I haven't seen, and it's not the Deadpool Wolverine one. It's the like Origins one, and I don't know if that's where that's from, but this is the color, and I think it's really pretty. I love the like neutral breaks in it, like right here or right here, and then there's some dark bluish green in there. It's really pretty. And yeah, that's that one. The next one is I think that was June and this one's July. So this is Daddy Damon and Compelled. And this is pretty. I don't know if it's coming across. It's like a blackish blue with these breaks in it that have this kind of a blue in there. And it's really nice. I haven't been disappointed. I did Coven Club last year for her club series, and I loved them all. And I find that really hard to do as a dyer. So I don't know how she does it. She just works her magic on it, makes it work. My other normal acquisition, I say normal, but I mean like not flock acquisition, is I ordered 3 skeins of this. Oh, I forgot to say. Oop, hold on. All these skeins are on the same base. They are on her 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon fingering weights. But this is the color Envy, and this was from her Kingdom of the Wicked, I believe it was, pre-order that she did in June or July. I can't even. Time is weird, you guys. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Besides flock. So before I show you, um, what I got from. Oh wait, I have one more thing. Naughty Lamb very recently, as in like this weekend, did a trunk show, and it was their birthday, their 8th birthday. Naughty Lamb is a yarn store that's local to me in Oregon, and um, I was able to make it out there and get some skeins for a project that I'm going to be working on. So this is Sweater Weather, and this is Balsamico, and I was I felt really bad. I felt guilty because my husband had worked Friday night, and I knew he was going to be so tired all day Saturday. Um, going with me, but he was a trooper and he went with me, and I'm so happy because there's speckles, all kinds of speckles in here, and I can't wait to work it up. And this is Explorer Knits and Fibers for Rocky DK base, so it's 100% superwash merino wool. Um, yeah. And the other thing I got was some skeins of this. This is Knitting for Olive in there. I think it's 100% superwash merino, but this is slate. Yep, 100% superwash merino. Slate gray, and it's fingering weight. And excuse me, sorry. Hydrate. Fingering weight. I bought this because I've been looking for the right kind of color to go with a project that I have in mind. So this is going to end up in a blanket, but I will talk more about that once I start it. So that's it for normal acquisitions. So now we can move into flock. And this will kind of be flock haul slash like recap. So last year, flock was in a smaller location and it was smaller, but it was still great. And I met a lot of people. This year, it was at a convention center and it was huge. And I met more people as one does. And things were kind of different this time around. The first time around, I was very shy and I was very afraid and timid to talk to people. And this year, not so much. So let me grab these. The first thing I got, or we could say that I got, was the flock tote. The same like last year, and it holds a ton of stuff. I really could have stuffed more stuff in here, but I didn't. Oh, here, the 9th through the 11th is when it was. The dates are on here. But this was like the only merch that I ordered. And at the time of filming this, I think they have a merch pre-order open, but I don't know how much longer it's going to be open. If I find out when I'm editing, I'll put this up here. I don't know if it'll make a difference by the time this video goes up, but they did a pre-order before the show, and I ordered this bag to be there for me when I came, so I could pick it up, and I did, and that was hilarious. There was a lovely helper there. I never caught her name. I was standing. The merch line for the booth was ridiculously long, and I was standing there. It was like the second thing I went to go do, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this line is going to take forever." But what ended up happening was a volunteer was going around asking if anybody had pre-ordered, and I did. And so I was like, "Oh, Mia, I pre-ordered." And so then she asked to see like a receipt of purchase, and so I showed her, and then she pulled me to a different line, which was shorter by comparison. And she pulled a group of people behind me with us, and I just thought that was very nice of her because they were confused. They had no idea that she was trying to help them, um, and they had not pre-ordered. So, anywho, I just thought that was very, very funny. But so let's see. Let me pull these out. Okay, we'll start with these ones. So first things first, we were there early. So I mentioned that we drove. Oh my god. We drove up Friday, and so I guess that was the ninth. Yeah, the ninth. We drove up on Friday, and uh, we stayed at a hotel that was pretty close. Actually, I didn't know how close when I booked it, but that worked out in our favor, and I loved that. But so we were able to get there pretty early, and it wasn't a big sacrifice. But honestly, we drove up and I was working on my mesita top, and then I couldn't sleep. Like I stayed up until I want to say almost 1 o'clock, and then I slept for like 3 hours, and I was up wide awake at 4. Whenever I travel, I always have a hard time the first night or two staying wherever I'm at because I guess I'm a homebody and I don't like to sleep in new places. But yeah, I kind of struggled. So I was up early and I was just trying to make a plan of like what we were gonna do, what I was gonna maybe try and get, or trying to see if I could meet people. So the Henley top, I think, had just released the Market Henley by Claire is her first name. Her Instagram handle is perfectly knotted. Had released the night before, and I had decided I was gonna make it out of this yarn somewhat last minutely. But this is Explore Knits and Fibers Denali sock in Court of Dreams. Now, I've never been able to get my hands on this color, and when I tell you, I was shocked. Okay, so there was a lot of lines when we showed up, obviously, and they were letting people. The lines were like in the lobby of the convention center, and so we got in line and we were snaking our way around, and then they were letting people in, and they had lines outside of the doors of where like the event actually was. So it was really funny. My mother had my youngest, so it was me, my husband, and my oldest, and we were standing in line, and then we get up the stairs, and there's like more lines, and my son was like, "We got out of line to stand in another line," and I was like, "Oh, child, I haven't even taken you to Disney yet." But so I had no idea map wise, like where we were and how I was gonna get to different places. But as soon as the doors opened, we were like right by the merch booth, and Exploring Some Fibers was towards the back. And I knew it was gonna be chaos over there. And I knew that I wanted to try and get this color. And I knew pretty much that was like all I wanted. Um, I knew the base, I knew a rough estimate of the quantity, and so I just went for it. And I was trying to keep up with my husband and my child. But my husband was like, "Go, I know where you're going, I'll be there." So I went, and it was a madhouse, and they had their like bases on different sides, but I didn't know, and I was trying to figure that out. They had their farmers market preview in the front, and then they had like their DK on one side, their Surrey on another side, and then their sock on another side. And of course, it was like their superwash or non-superwash bases like intermixed um, between. So, oh, and then they had like shirts and things, and like a farmer's market bag, which was lovely. But I already knew I had this tote bag, and I didn't want another one, if that makes sense. Which is kind of ironic, but we'll talk about that later. Um, so I saw what I needed. Once I was able to get over to it, I saw what I needed and I grabbed it. And then they also had this colorway called Air, and I got this on stock also. This is part of they're doing a quarterly club, and it's Elements, and this is Air. I've already gotten water, and I ordered Fire when it was there, but I didn't get Air because they had such a small window for it. So as soon as I saw it was there, I was like, yeah, I want that. So um, that was the EKF booth. Let me put these away. And then that was when I split off from my husband and decided, because we were standing in line for a long time. So that was when I decided, okay, look, you stay in line. I'm gonna run over to the merch booth, see if I can't get the bag that I pre-ordered, and then I'll meet you back over here. Well, I took so long over at the merch booth. They checked out and like came over to me. It was really funny. And then from there, um, he asked me where I wanted to go, and I said, let's just look around. And I think that ended up moseying over to Red Door Fiber Studio. Just pulled that. But these are what I got. I got Dancing Dragon in her bounce sock base. And then I got First Act of Freedom on the same base. And I'm not typically an orange girl, but this is beautiful. And so is this. This is like reddish orange. And I was like, maybe I could put them together for something, but I don't have any orange to fill in the gaps. So we'll just see. We'll just see what that ends up becoming. But let me put that away. So I kind of pulled everything or almost everything out here. Oh my gosh. Okay. Hold on. Okay, this just became chaos. Okay. I said I didn't have my Disney Club up here, but I did. I just didn't see it. And here it is. So for July, this is Spaceship Earth by Fangirl Fibers. I am a part of her Disney Attraction Club, and the base that I get is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon fingering weight. And this is lovely. I considered picking more of this up and using it for that blanket, but I think it's just too light, and I kind of like the dark one that I got anyway. So that is that. And my other somewhat normal acquisition is more self-striping from Area 51. So this one is called Magical Kingdom, and it stripes the purple, the pink, the blue, and the yellow, and it's based on a picture from um, Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom when they had their 50th anniversary going on. And then I got the colorway Jack, which is based off of Nightmare Before Christmas, and this is on their Sturdy Alien base, which is 20% superwash merino. I mean, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And these are 50-gram skeins, so the same as the other ones I'm working with. And the last time that I made my husband a pair of socks, it was close. I hardly had any left, and so those ones were twins. The ones I'm working on now are going to be sisters because I didn't wind off so that it would be a perfect start. He won't mind, and this way I'm not playing like yarn chicken to make him socks. So those are the last of my normal acquisitions. Now back to flock. So after the merch booth, it was kind of a blur. I think we ended up going over to the Doodle Bar, and this isn't even this isn't even everything. Oh, well, and there's some things that got put away already, and I'm like kicking myself because I totally spaced it. But I think we made our way over to the Doodle Bar, and what I ended up getting on the first day was this skein from Uranosaurus, and this is from her Mushroom Kingdom collection, and this is Bowser's Castle. And I think it's really, really pretty. It's probably going to be a pair of socks. I'm predictable, if nothing else. And then I also got this doodle kit from Fangirl Fibers, and this is DK weight, 100% superwash merino, and these are 50-gram skeins. Except for I think this white is a full gram. I mean full gram. Full 100-gram skein. So the yardage is different, but this is Main Street Confectionery, and this was a set. She did a collaboration with Pacific Knit Co., who makes the doodles, and then lots of dyers actually get in on making kits, and this was one of the ones that she Fangirl had made for the baking doodle, and I had regrets about not getting it, and it's been really difficult to obtain since then, so I decided while I was there I should just get it. And it will go on my big fat stack of doodles. Um, but from there, I kind of zigzagged around, which I don't recommend. I did go to like the Storella booth, and then I think after that, I just kind of looked on day one there. After that, I wanted to get something to eat. They did have like a little cafe that was serving food there, and then they had some kind of Asian. I don't know if it was like Chinese or what. So I'm not trying to be, but it was delicious. That was what I got both days, and it was like crispy orange chicken and steamed white rice, I believe, and it was killer, amazing. But they had all different kinds of things, but that's just what I got, and it was good. So we took a little break, sat down, and we ate some, and then yeah, from there I went over to Little Fiber Co. where I said hi to Lauren. Little Fiber Co. used to be called the Yarn Addict Co. And she, I think last year, changed the name, and a lot of things have been changing for her. So she started doing non superwash, and she also does fiber. Right now, she has a Fiber of the Month club, um, or club colorway. It's a monthly club, and I hadn't gone in on it yet. But basically, she does fiber colorways based on cookware, and I don't know. It seems really interesting. She does yarn, non-superwash yarns in addition to fiber, but she had quite a selection, and I'm mad I didn't get there sooner. Excuse me. But I was just hesitant. I wasn't sure yet if I was going to spin. And when I saw this little beauty, I was like, I'm gonna figure it out and I'm gonna spin, whether it's on a drop spindle or if I eventually in the future get an e-spinner. I had no idea that my husband was gonna get me an e-spinner, but yeah, I think he just saw a lot of things at Flock. He's not a very social guy, which is fine. I'm not really either. He says that I am, but I don't know. So he was watching a lot of things happening at Flock, and I went and talked to Lauren, and I got buttercream on her blue faced luster, and then I got pavlova. She was out of some of the other colorways that I wanted on blue faced luster. I talked to her. I had been talking to her before about spinning over Instagram and DMs, and then when I popped into her booth, I said hi to her and sort of like reintroduced myself, and she goes, "I remember you," and I was like, "Oh my god." At this point, I really hadn't said hi to anybody. I just was going around and I saw her, and it just made my day that she even slightly remembered me. Flock last year, I stood in line behind her and Rachel from ZZ Textiles, Jess from Witch Fiber Knits, and oh my god, I can't. Her name is escaping me, so I'll put it here. But Mezzo makes. And I was too shy to say anything, but I stood in line for merch behind them for like ever, and I was fangirling out behind them, like low key. Probably not that low key, they probably totally knew. But on the second day of Flock last year, I bucked up my courage and went and introduced myself and said hi, and then I love their work and all this. And Lauren had a nice chat with me, um, just me and her. So she remembered me, and so I picked her brain a little bit about what um, fiber would be good for a beginner, and she was telling me like Blueface Lester and Corridel. I have worked with Blueface Lester before as like a sock set, and so I kind of knew what to expect fibery wise based on that, and so I that's what I went with for this. And yeah, she did really she sold out. She sold out. She did really well on her fiber braids, and I thought that was great to see. Um, from there, I think I went over. to Treehouse Knits, who was just across the way. I stopped in at Witch Fiber Fire Witch Fire Fiber Justice booth, who she split a booth with Rachel from ZZ Textiles because they were doing this duality collection, and they had individual colors that they brought for flock, and then they had down the middle like their duality collection on each side based on the dyer and everything, and I thought it was really well done. Um, I only had a chance to say hi to them, and I bought one skein. I'll insert a picture here because I just mailed it out. But it was for someone in my one of my discords. They asked for somebody to pick this up if they could, and I was like, I'll do it. One skein, I got you. Don't even worry about it. So I went and I got it, and that actually happened to be where I bumped into Marissa, who's the dyer behind Fantasy Fiber Yarn Co. And she gave me this little mini skein. She was giving these away while she had them to people who stopped and said hi to her. And this is Enchanted Forest on Second Chance Fingering, which is 75% extra fine merino and 25% recycled nylon. And of course, it came with a little stitch marker. My husband saw it because it's a skull, even though it's a butterfly, and claimed it. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then talked with her for a little bit, and then kind of went my own way. And at some point, I bumped into Long Dog Yarn, who is Brandy, and she gave me these lovely stitch markers, and I was obsessed always because they're her little logo is so cute. I think it's based off of her dog Rufus, and yeah, she was giving me stitch markers away, and I bumped into her, and she gave me that, and then I also bumped into through the Wardrobe Yarn Co. My gosh. And she was giving out stickers. She asked me which one I wanted, and I told her this one. It says this is the skein of a crocheter because she did a Twilight collection last year, and it's supposed to be like this is the skin of a killer, like Edward. So I thought it was funny, and it's hollow. So she gave me that, and I thought that was super nice. And I also met um, the skein and the stitch. They were all kind of hanging out together, and so I got a picture with them, and I'll put that in here. Um, Actually, I'll probably be popping pictures in as we talk about different people, because obviously I will circle back. I did go back and see Allie of Explorer Knits at a later time and talk to her for a little bit and take pictures. It was crazy busy though, so I tried not to take up too much of her time. Um, so I'll pop a picture in for that too. But I got some stickers too when I went to the Doodle Bar with the Fangirl Fibers and Yarnosaurus. I only have one here because my child has the other one, I think. But it's Stitch doing what looks like cross stitch of either a pineapple or a palm tree. It kind of looks like a palm tree. And I bought this for my youngest because I call him my little Stitch because he is mischief like nobody's business. They also had a limited edition doodle card they were giving away as part of if you spent over a certain amount or a kit. They were out of the kits by the time I got there. They had kits for a doodle cow with this motif on it that I'm about to show you. And then they had socks. Did I say socks? I think I said doodle cow, but they had socks too, and they were sold out by the time I got there. And I thought I got there quick enough, but that's okay. So I'll just show you this really quickly. It's the doodle, the Flock Festival doodle um, that she was putting out. And then I'm kind of going out of order, so I do apologize. um, it it was a lot, and I'm trying to remember exactly where I went. And I feel like I should preface this by saying I caught COVID from Flock. They did have masking hours, but it was hot, and I foolishly felt safe enough to take my mask off at this event once we were allowed to do that. I do not think that we will be doing that in the future because it's such a large event with so many people. And there was a vendor there who vended sick with COVID the entire time. So I think next year I'll do things differently. I'm not saying a mask is going to stop you from getting it, but it does reduce your chances, I believe. So here nor there. That's part of the reason that this is coming up so much later than it I normally would have wanted to, was because I had to kind of push this off because I was sick. That's why this is kind of scrambled. I'm trying to remember where I went. It has been like 3 weeks now, 2 or 3 weeks now since vlog. So yeah. But when I went to the Doodle Bar, I picked up these gamer needle stoppers from Yarnosaurus, and they look like little controllers, and I just couldn't help myself. If you know me, you know that I also play video games. But yeah. So at some point, we went over to Treehouse Knits on day one, and I got my son picked out Dream a Little Dream from the Stranger Things collection by Treehouse Knits on Dove DK, which is 100% superwash merino. And it's a lovely, like, deep navy blue. It's not black. I'm sure it's coming across black on camera, but it is not, I assure you. And my son, when we went last year, he picked out yarn for me to make stuff for him with, and I have yet to do that. I know I need to get with it, but he wanted to pick out yarn for me to make something for him this year, and um, after After Treehouse Knits, I don't think I bought anything. I just walked around. Although I'll have to post pictures of it. Because I went to um, Starlight Knitting Society is a yarn shop in Portland, and they have a booth, or they had a booth, um, with the Crow and the Crescent yarn, and they had a little game there where if you brought, she called them crow trinkets, but there was, I don't know if it was just around the booth or if it was kind of everywhere, but around their booth they had little things that maybe someone would consider was garbage, but a crow would not. To them, it's a trinket. And she had a contest basically for people to bring her these trinkets, and you would be entered in a drawing to give away. Um, she had like 3 skeins of a flock exclusive colorway she was giving away. And so my son found a row counter. Um, Maybe I'll insert the picture that I took here of the screen. It's a screenshot of the video that she showed of this jar that had all the trinkets people had given her. I found my son, so I'll put the picture here. And he gave it to her and was all excited to look around for it. And he wanted to do more, but I was like, no, no, just the one. Like, gotta be fair, you gotta let other people try too. But that really cheered him up. It was to have something to do. And I bought these. Oh no, I bought one at the time. It was a mini minder. I'll insert a picture because I forgot to bring it up here. Um, but it's an exclusive design to Starlight Knitting Society, I believe, because it's based on their like mascot logo slash mascot of Starla. Um, Day one, I kind of just walked around and talked to people, and I did laps and was trying to look at all the things. At some points in the day, they had different panels where they had people speak. I had caught Andrea, the knitting PT. She was doing stretches. I caught that on the second day, and on the second day also. On the first day, I was sitting close enough, but I couldn't really hear because the way that they had the speaker system set up. For Not Bad Brit was talking with I can't remember who it was on the first day. Nope, nope, nope. I thought the little map would have it, but it doesn't. Um, I'll put it up here if I end up finding it, but I couldn't hear it, so I was sad about that. But on day two, I heard it, and it was great. It was her origin story and why she made um, her business. There's not enough resource for crochet people, like people who design or people who crochet, like to do certain things versus like knitting and how much there is for them. And I agree wholeheartedly. I know that I mostly talk about knitting on here, but it's because one, I'm knitting socks, not crocheting socks. Two, um, there just aren't that many crochet patterns out there for garments that I want to make for myself. That's kind of going to be changing here soon because I did a lot of deep digging after this because um, with the Masita top, quite a few people actually complimented me on it, and obviously that made me feel good, but it made me feel even better knowing that it was crochet and not knit. Um, I fully intended on knitting some garments for flock, but it just didn't end up happening. My Tolsta still needs sleeves. I brought it with me to work on, and I made jokes that I was going to wear it with the try-on cords to flock. I didn't. I just wore my crochet top twice with a different dress underneath. It was really interesting to hear her talk about her origin story and her business that she does. But yeah, I ended up going over there. I don't have this either. Gee, oh my gosh. Um, I ended up going to. I found out the knitting PT was in the Makers of Color collective that Not Bad Brit made. It's like her business or foundation. I'm explaining this terribly, and I'm so sorry. Basically, she uh, helps Black, Indigenous, person of color, or BIPOC makers and designers and dyers and all of it get the spotlight that they deserve because obviously she wants the space to be more inclusive, and that includes BIPOC makers of all kinds. And so Um, she sponsors different dyers to be in her booth, and I can't remember who it was this year, but part of that was Andrea, the knitting PT. So she was there, and she was talking about she has these hand therapy kits that come with like roller balls for massage, and there's also putty in there so that if your hands are hurting or getting too stiff or just different things to use it for to prevent repetitive motion injuries. And um, I ended up talking to her about it and shamelessly gushing about how great I think her channels are because she has an Instagram, but I think she also has a YouTube. I might be wrong, but she does do reels. Um, and so I was talking to her about that and how much it's really changed the way that I make and the things that I do to take care of myself as I'm making. So talked about that for a while. But then I ended up talking to Not Bad Brit too. We were talking about crochet, and I told her that I thought her panel was amazing and it's really great what she's doing, and that I think even when it gets hard, she needs to continue because, you know, together we can accomplish more than if we are apart, and what she is doing is amazing. So I chatted with her for a little bit, and I think I ended up going back and getting a picture. I think I got a picture with Andrew, so I'll put that here. And I believe I got a picture with Britt, and then I my husband snagged Nitty Natty for me because I had originally gone in this booth to talk to Andrea about the kits for your hands, and Nitty Natty was kind of going in and out of the booth because she was filming it. Um, and I went in there to talk to her, and I got caught up talking to Britt, and so Nitty Natty like kind of went around me, and my husband was like, "Wait, my wife wants to talk to you." So they were chatting, which was funny, but I went over there and introduced myself and got a picture with her and was talking to her and Kent about the things that they're doing and how great it is. And it's really fun to watch. And um, we even started talking about Pokemon. And that was really funny because my oldest, that's like his latest thing is Pokemon. It's his obsession right now. And so he felt pretty good about being included in that conversation. But uh, I think shortly after that, I went back to Sorella Yarn and I ended up getting, they had a wall where they were calling it the archives, I believe. I ended up calling it the treasure wall, and I thought that's what they were calling it. I don't know where I got that from, but they were like, "Oh my God, I love that." And I was like, "All right." Um, but I got Adagio on their Silk Decay and Aurora on the same base. All of these are going to be Silk Decay, which is 50% silk and 50% superwash merino wool, and it's really soft. And once I touched it and saw it, I left these behind on the first day, but I thought about it all day the next day, and so I went back. And this is from their winter ballet collection. So this is Rehearsal and then Misty. Now all three of these or four of these were from the same collection, and they are really beautiful. And um, I bought them thinking I could find a top to make, and I did, but I need more for my size. The struggles, I tell you. So they're having an Eras 2 Taylor Swift collection, and some of those colors that they have in there kind of match these, and are the same base. So I might try for that. We'll see. Um, but um, at some point when I was walking around, I um, bumped into TL Yarn Crafts, Tony Lipsy, and by Gwen Stein, her mother Gwen. And I introduced myself and I, thanked her for her work and that they are two beautiful rays of sunshine on YouTube. And I love her videos. I love the videos that they do together. And I think that, what they're doing is great and they should continue. And we talked about crochet in the community and things like that because that's what uh, Tony does. She knits a little now, and her mom does both, but they were both wearing like she had her Beyonce sweater on. She made a sweater, I think it was last year, crocheted a top for herself, Tony, and she hadn't worn it since the Beyonce concert. And I told her I was so glad to see her wearing it because it's beautiful. And it should definitely be worn. And she was like, yeah, that's why I need to wear my makes more. And I said, we all do, I think. We just kind of make it. And sometimes I know I personally don't always wear what I make. It's special. And I think I need a special occasion for it. And that's not true. So, and then her mom was wearing a beautiful crochet dress that she had made. And I was like, wow, stunning. And we obviously talked about my mesita top because it's crochet. And on the first day, when I when we turned the corner to go down the steps to enter the convention center, Tony and her mom were right there. And I was like, oh my God, that's Tony. And my husband like helped me down the stairs because I was wearing wedges, but I was also just like locked up with nerves because I was feeling shy. And I will say that while I was more outgoing this time, there were a lot of points where I was overwhelmed and I just shut down and was shy and I couldn't talk to people. So there were some people that I saw, a lot of people that I saw. I saw Leslie of Knit California. I saw Claire of Perfectly Knotted. I saw a Naughty Mess, Megan. And then I saw Paisley Knits, Coley, and so many other people that I did not say hi to. And I just would get like overwhelmed, overstimulated, peopled out, and then I would just see them and freeze. I wouldn't approach them, and that's probably going to be the norm for me. There were some people that I did approach, and some people I had to work with the courage to go and approach. We're all just people in this Fiber 11 event, and um, yeah, I mean, it's okay to approach people as long as you're polite and nice about it, and you're not don't have malintent. I guess I don't know what I'm looking for there, but they showed me that they had picked up this. fingering weight tweed that was rainbow tweed, but it had rainbow stellina. They showed me, they both picked up some and they showed it to me from, I think it was Fangirl Fibers and Yarnosaurus. And I was like, oh my God, it's beautiful. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. Well, I forgot. I went back to the doodle bar and I was on a mission and I was chit chatting with Yarnosaurus and um, Fangirl Fibers because this is like the third time I think I've seen them. And so we were chatting it up and uh, it was nice. It felt like, seeing an old friend and or um, just seeing friends is what it felt like, and I absolutely love that. Versus the last few interactions I had with them, I was very awkward and very um. I mean, I did talk with them, but I was so nervous that I messed up words and things, and it was really kind of funny. And later, I was cringing at myself, but not this time. This time, I was a normal person. So I went back to the doodle bar and I was on a mission and I forgot all about that base and I'm mad about it. But um, they put out a potato doodle on April 1st as an April Fool's, but it was a real thing. And so I have the pattern. They had a kit, but it was a big one like this, but it was the potato colors. And I was like, I just want to make a one-sided one. I don't want to have extra yarn, which in hindsight was really stupid of me. But I ended up, they had these mix and match with different weights of DK and weights, like full skeins, half skeins, mini skeins is what I mean by weight, but they were all DK. So what I ended up doing was I got some white, some brown, dark brown, and then I got some minis that were kind of close. My husband helped color match me for these. They were the closest ones they had to the actual doodle kit. And then I ended up pulling Maggie, Yarnosaurus, aside, and I was like, hey, would you say, I don't think we had this color originally. I was like looking at the potato doodle sample they had in the booth, and I was like, do you think that this would be enough yarn for like a potato doodle, or do I need something else? These are like the closest colors you have. And she suggested that I get this one. So then it goes, and that's what that's gonna end up being. More doodles for the doodle pile. But yeah, I'm excited about that. And like I said, I'm sad I forgot all about that base, but I keep hoping they'll have an overstock update, or not overstock, but an update with the leftovers. But both of them, Fangirl Fibers and Yarnosaurus, have a few more shows they're going to do throughout the year, so they might do it much, much later than I had anticipated. So we'll see. I don't know. They might not at all. They might sell out at other festivals. Who knows? Um, but the last few things I got here, and this is why I said ironic, I ended up going back to the Starlight Knitting Society booth and I got this bag. This is a collaboration that they did with the Crow and the Crescent Yarn Co. And this is Starla. And she's got her crow and it's celestial dress. And I really love the dress. So that's why I ended up picking this one up. Not because I really needed a second tote or anything, but I thought it was really nice. And um, I met Pixel Faye, who is Alicia. I've actually knit one of her patterns on the podcast. And I met Raylan of Sincere Fiber Co., Bree of Clever Hands, Kylie of Moonlit Yarns, and Lisa of Cozy Cauldron Fiber Co. And they were kind of together. They stayed at an Airbnb together, so they were kind of hanging out together. But I ended up bumping into them on the first day, and my husband and I had reservations to go eat dinner at I think it was called the Yard House. And it was delicious. I would definitely go there again. Highly recommend if you're ever in Seattle. But I I was trying to figure out something that we could all do together, maybe like the next day, because we had reservations. My husband was like, "Why don't you just have them come to dinner with us if they want?" So I did message them to see if that's something they wanted to do, and then eventually they got back to me and let me know that yeah, they would do that. So we all went to dinner together, and that was pretty interesting. I'll insert the picture here. It's the only picture I got with Lisa and Raylan and Kylie. Um, I think with all the shopping, we kind of were like, ooh, shiny, and it just didn't end up happening. But yeah, that was fun. That was interesting because we were talking a lot of knitting, but Pixel Faye, Alicia, is close to me, and so we made plans to meet up at a later date, maybe at a yarn store, possibly Starlight Knitting Society, and this will be the bag that I bring with me, maybe with my project inside of it or what have you, for if we meet up and decide to do things together. But I thought that was really great because I need a fiber friend who's close to me. I don't have anybody, and it would be nice to find a knit group or start one. So anyway, but while I was at the Starlight Knitting Society booth, I picked up Inner Planet Janet by Crow and Crescent Yarn Co. on their Callisto sock, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon fingering weight. And it's pink, purple, and blue, and it's speckly. I was drawn to it. This is on the same base, and this is Todd, which is going to have I think, a micro stripe. My husband really liked this one, wanted this one, but he didn't know what I would make with it. And I said, I can make you a hat or socks. That's really all I can make for you because you don't like to wear things around your neck. So a cowl is out of the question or a scarf is out of the question. And um, I'm still working on like getting actual sweaters, not teeny sweaters, under my belt. So that was kind of a big ask. Like he wasn't asking, but I was letting him know like that's probably not going to be a thing either. So yeah, that's what I got for him. And then we went back to Treehouse Knits because I'm obsessed with this color, Smoke Show, and this was their special base that they had. This was the same base that Yarnosaurus and Fangirl Fibers had that I told you that I was obsessed with and forgot about. But this is one of Treehouse Knit's favorite colors that they've ever made. Wait, I said that wrong. One of the colors that they've made that is my favorite. Um, and I love it. And so they had this. I was trying, I know that I, kind of bought in excess. I was trying really hard to keep it to a minimum and have plans for these project plans for these skeins that I was getting, so I wouldn't end up with a bunch of one skein, two skein. I don't know what to do with skein, and so I kept picking up their truffula base of this color, and I wanted to buy it, but I was like, I don't know what I would make with it. I know that there are lace weight sweaters that call for like mohair and sturdy, and their truffula base is a certain percentage of merino and brushed cashmere. And it's like a fluff replacement for people who have allergies to mohair or suri. But I didn't know. I couldn't decide. So I ended up getting one skein of this, and this is on their festival fingering. It's Smoke Show, which is 92% superwash merino, 4% stellina, 4% polyester neps, and it's fingering weight. And it is stunning. The tweed nets are rainbow. The um, stellina is rainbow, and it's stunning. I want this to become um, I can't remember the designer name off the top of my head. I will insert a picture here, but it's like Spesh Cal is what it's called, and it uses one skein of yarn. The designer actually made it in collaboration with another yarn dyer last year, called Silly Goose Yarns, and she used her I Flocking Love It colorway. But that's what this is probably going to become because I think with it being a solid color, the rainbow nuts and the rainbow stellina will sing on that textured cowl. So that's what that's going to become. And then my son was obsessed with There's a Little Witch in All of Us. And this is 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon fingering weight. He kept wanting to pick up DK, but the DK that they um, had a little bit of variance in it, and I liked the way it looked on this anyway. And I feel some kind of way about that because I probably could have put the two DKs together because the other base he got from them was DK and made like a Minecraft hat or something with it. But we'll see. I can always hold this double and try and do that too. Um, but yeah, the last thing I got um, that I have up here to show you is this fiber. At some point, I we were walking along because I we on the second day we kind of walked one way and then around the other because we were trying to see all the things we didn't see the day before. And we stopped at this place called Blarney Yarns, and she was sharing her booth with someone else. I'll put the name up here because I can't recall off the top of my head. But she has spinning fiber, and her friend that was sharing the booth over there had yarn. What made me stop in this booth was she was spinning on a drop spindle while she was like waiting for people to come and check out her work or her work, her fiber or her friend's yarn. She was spinning to like pass the time, and she had a bottom whirl drop spindle. And at this point in time, I hadn't really seen anybody spin in person yet, and so I was looking at her and I kind of stopped and she was like, "Oh, hi." And I was like, "Hi." And she was like, "Do you spin?" And I was like, "Uh, I'm a baby spinner. I have a drop spindle, but I'm self-taught and I'm pretty bad at it. But do you mind if I watch you spin?" She was like, "No, not at all." So then she was spinning and she was talking to me while she was spinning, and it was the funniest thing because I looked over at my husband at some point to see if he was watching what she was doing, and his eyes were like as big as saucers, and he was just like, "How is she doing that?" And I was like, "Exactly, it's magic. I want to make yarn magic too." So it was really kind of funny for him to understand what she was doing. But so she was talking to me about different things, and I told her I was a beginner spinner, but I loved looking at her stuff, and so we were talking, and I have a backpack that's Donald Duck that I was wearing because it's his 90th year this year, and that brought up a lot of conversations for people. So we started talking about Disney, and she used to live in Southern California, and I used to live in like Northern California-ish. And we talked about going to Disney, and it since we both moved, like I moved to Oregon, she's moved to Seattle. It's definitely difficult to get back to the park, so we were talking about that, and then she let it slip. I was looking at this one, and this is called Once Upon a Time, and it's Blueface Lester, and it's based off of Disney, sort of. And this one is called Pixie Dust, also Blueface Lester. These are 2 ounce um, twists, and this is a 4 ounce braid. Um, but they were made to be spun together. So she had a couple of little samples in her booth of things that she had spun together that maybe were unusual combinations, and we were talking about spinning and plying and fractal spinning, and it was really interesting, and I had such an amazing time talking to her. And I had seen, I believe it was this one. This is called Villain, and it's also Blueface Lester. And it's dark blue and plum, and of course it leads into this like yellowy orange, which is not really my thing. I'm coming around to the color yellow, but like it doesn't look good on my skin. Um, but I wanted to try it, and so I thought about this. I left the booth, walked around, did whatever, and I ended up going back there and we were trying to pair it with another skein. We ended up pairing it with this one. I say skein, but roving. Um, oops, picked up a hitchhiker. We ended up pairing it with this one, which is also Blueface Lester, and this is called Pop Art. And I think the two of them will go good together because the green will kind of go with this yellow, and with the purples and the green, it kind of gives me like Oogie Boogie Maleficent vibes. So, yeah, I bought that to go together, possibly spin together. But yeah, and then these are gonna go together. But I've been waiting for her to update. She has an Etsy shop, and I've been waiting for her to update that too. She did really well because I saw her like fiber braids that she had on the first day, and then I saw her on the second day. And even when I went back later, we were trying to pair it up with different ones, and I was having indecision. But then the little pop art was kind of at the bottom of her rack, and it just was like, "Hi, I'm here." And I pulled it out and put it next to that one, and I was like, "I think this is the one." And she was like, "Ooh, that's gonna look so good." So that was really fun. That I'll insert the photo here that we took together, but we got to talking, and I'm hopeful that she will have an update because I am spinning now. So obviously, I'm going to need more fiber. I have a little bit more that I can spin for the time being because I haven't finished off this braid yet. I still have almost half a braid, I think, of this one. And then I have like a solid brown one. And then these ones. Now that I have shown them on here, I might start spinning them because I was waiting, wanted to keep them intact to do this block haul. Um, but yeah, um, that's pretty much it for the haul. Um, and I'll use this time right here to insert pictures of people I didn't mention. I should have wrote everybody down, but I didn't. But I had such an amazing time at Flock. Sickness aside, honestly, when I found out about the vendor after the fact, and then I was feeling really crummy that day. I had chalked it up to being exhausted from. I had mentioned on the first night I slept for like 3 hours and then did Flock and stayed up until I was falling asleep. Um, We ended up going back to the room. I forget what time it was, like 1 or 2. I was falling asleep, and my husband was like, "No, because I have a feeling you'll knock out for the night, and we have dinner plans." So I ended up not falling asleep, but I was pretty tired by the end of day one, and I had just figured with all the travel and being exhausted, and then more travel, that I wasn't sick, but I was sick. And so it put a little damper on Flock. It made me a little bit sad, but um, the odds of it happening were pretty high anyway, regardless of that vendor. So I just kind of learned a little bit of a lesson, and we'll take different precautions next year. Um, I'm just glad that we're better. I still have a little bit of brain fog, which is, like I said, why this is chaos. But yeah, I love Flock. So lastly, the only thing I'm reading right now is Everqueen by L.J. Andrews, and we're supposed to be discussing that actually today, and I haven't read the last little bit, so but it's really good. I'm curious to see what's gonna happen in this last 25% that I'm on, but yeah. Otherwise, I'm not listening to anything. My husband and I just watched The Union last night on Netflix, and that is uh funny. It's got Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry, and there's some kind of a spy agency, and she ropes him into it, and it was funny. So I would recommend that if you haven't already seen it. But yeah, that concludes this episode. I hope that you enjoyed my little vlog ramblings, and I'm sorry for the chaos. But if you like this video, make sure to give me a thumbs up. If you are not subscribed, make sure you subscribe by hitting that button and tap the bell icon so that you can be notified of every time that I upload. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one.